I will be honest. I think a lot of times that motherhood, Catholic motherhood, being that I'm Catholic, feels like a cross.
Mm-hmm.
And the longer I do it, I'm really seeing that that God has called me into this vocation because he knows me and he's tailored his love for me. And that love is hard. It is shown a lot of times as a cross, and that we're all being called to carry it and not drag it. And I see sometimes I do both, mostly drag, but that it is a cross, and that in our Catholicity, that we're being called to be obviously countercultural, right? The world tells us that like being a mother is just being their friends and like doing all the things.
Giving them great birthday parties.
Right. Hosting these $1,000 birthday parties and just doing all the things. Yes. 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 And then I look at my life and I'm like, oh, I'm definitely not doing the things.
Right.
All I feel like I'm doing is like surviving and like literally trying to lift the cross every day. And especially with the homeschool, like I'm at home with the kids a lot. So I'm constantly being reminded like this is hard, but being sanctified is hard, right?
Well, I actually normally we start with the good things and then get to the bad things, but I'm fine digging.
Sorry.
No, I like it actually. Let's dig into that. Let's dig into the cross a little bit.
When I hear that, that is the good stuff right there. Like even though it's the cross, that is what because like if we want our kids to get to heaven, I think one of the main, I feel like a young mom next to you guys, but like I think the biggest prayer that I have, and probably a secret ingredient to making our kids tailored for heaven, is showing them and praying for them to fall in love with the presence of the Eucharist, which is sacrifice, the ultimate sacrifice. And it's just so, it chokes me up because that's like what we're doing. The at least at my example right now is like being sometimes in concocted positions, falling asleep on the bedroom floor, helping my 2-year-old get to sleep or my 1-year-old get to sleep. And it's like, that's God's on that bedroom floor. Like that's my cross. And that is, even though they're not aware of what I'm doing for them right now, they're going to know that. And they're going to like that prayer for them to fall in love with sacrifice is what will tailor them for heaven, I think. I don't know.
Which is hard though, because you hear them complaining all day long about, I don't want to do that, or this is hard, or whatever. And so sometimes it's not just our example that makes them want to follow it. It's, I'm sure you guys feel the same way in terms of like whining and complaining and.
That's like part of the cross.
Yeah.
Hearing that all the time.
And then what do you say? Because I tend to be kind of sarcastic or, just deal with it, or, because I'm speaking from an older perspective where, I'm older and hopefully wiser, but to them, like, it's something that they don't want to do, or it's hard.
That makes sense to them when they're adults, though. Because that's, I don't know how many things I heard from my mother when I was growing up that I was like, I will never say that to my kids. And now I say it
all of them.
Yeah.
All the time, but you get it, so you just kind of have to hope and pray that they get it one day too when they're adults.
I used my mother's, I brought you into this world, I'll take you out, make another one that looks just like you, the other day. And I was really proud of it, actually. I was like, oh, that was so Judy Spann. Way to go, Mom. Came out. So I have a question. Like that was beautiful and wonderful, and that's great. It was. I'm not trying to dismiss it at all, but a lot of people don't feel that way, right? When I look at the culture, and I'm not criticizing any individuals, but I hear constantly, just sort of in the zeitgeist of modern American civilization, right? What a pain in the neck being a parent is, right? I hear a lot of complaints and a lot of, oh my gosh, how could you possibly want more kids? You hear that stuff all the time. Why do you feel that way? Like why the four of you just said some very beautiful things about the cross and being down in the mud and the muck with your kids. Why do you feel that way? Because let's not pretend. There's a lot of really nice little Facebook things about motherhood, right? But most people aren't saying that. Most people are not saying, I'm open to life and I want to have a ton of these kids, even though it's really hard and it makes me really miserable in the moment. Why do you feel differently?
I don't know.
When you said we're meant to be countercultural, we're also not made for comfort. Our culture tells us to care for yourself and do that, but it just doesn't mean you need to pamper. I think caring for yourself and pampering yourself is different. And anyway, I think we hear it so much. Would do whatever makes you feel good.
Right.
And motherhood isn't going to make you feel good all the time, but it's that consistency that, you just keep doing being present with, where you need to be, and then your efforts will be rewarded.
She brings up a good point. So I think of selfishness, and saying yes to this vocation is drawing out my selfishness and bringing it to the front on truly how selfish I am. And I think that that's a lot of times why it's so hard, because it's a constant threat to my own selfish desires.
Right.
I'm at home raising these little people that I love, but it's a threat on what would I really like to be doing right now? Mm-hmm. What would that selfish side of me want to be doing right now? And so I just think that, honestly, that's what makes it so hard, because it's a constant no to yourself and a yes to someone and something else. Are we not answering it the way you want it?
No, I think motherhood makes me very aware of my imperfections and my sinfulness and my limitations. And it's it's a vocation. So it's supposed to challenge us and help us to become better. And so for me, I know that this is the surest way that God is calling me to be holy. And because of that, it is fulfilling if we're letting it, but it also shows us how awful we are, because we're constantly having to struggle. We're having to struggle against that selfishness, like you said.
Yeah.
And so I feel like moms tear themselves down constantly because we're never good enough. We don't feel like we're ever good enough, or we're always falling short. At least I feel like that as a mom. But that call to something greater is what it feels like, honorable and good and true.
All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, if you're enjoying the content, be sure to like, subscribe, and go back and watch the full-length video. We talk a lot more about this. We get into some other stuff. I think you'll love it. Thanks.